Good day to our beloved Dr. Muzawana. We are from Group T3G4 and now we are going to present our video presentation for the summative assessment of EIA 1006 Statistic 2. Before we start, I would like to introduce myself and my group members. I'm Tanya Ling with metric numbers U20034442. My other members include T Singting with metric numbers U20033370, Tong Soke with metric numbers U20033419, and Y Sitting with metric numbers U20033440. Next, this is an overview of our video presentation. We will start with an introduction, summary statistic of baby age, 6 descriptive statistic on respondents' background, normal probability plot of baby age. Not only that, we use man-Whitney test to examine if the mean age of baby is the same across different genders. Next, 4 non-parametric tests at 5% level of significance on any 2 variables relevant for this case study. Last but not least, discussion and conclusion. Baby disposable diapers are one of the products of KCL. However, KCL noticed that the sales of diapers are not as good as they expected. If the situation does not improve, it may threaten the business. Therefore, a customer survey is conducted as an effort to develop a strong strategy to increase its market share and customer satisfaction. Hence, the purpose of this report is to document all implementation results on the background of respondents through appropriate statistical analysis so that it may help KCL to develop new strategies to improve this performance. We have used summary statistic and descriptive statistic to study the background of the respondents, such as gender of baby, mother's age, mother's marital status, employment status, household annual income, and their education level to investigate the market segments. Besides that, we have used some statistical tests such as man-Whitney test, Crystal Body test, Child Square test, and Wilcoxon rank sum test to carry out our case study. By this case study, we hope to help KCL to identify their strengths and weaknesses in order to develop new strategies to improve their performance. In order to become familiar with the target consumers, knowing their background is important. Now I proceed with summary statistic of baby age. Among dirty babies, the mean, which is the average age of the baby, is 15.53 months. Besides, the minimum age of baby is 1 month, while the maximum is 30 months. Thus, the range of baby age is 29 months. Besides, the mode of the baby age is 17 months. By calculating the quarters of baby age, the first quarter is 9.5 months, median, which is second quarter, is 60 months, and the third quarter is 20 months. So the box plot beside shows the data distribution of baby age is slightly skewed to the right. Next, we use descriptive statistics and we provide frequency tables and bar charts to show the background of respondents clearly. First, I will explain about the range of respondents who are mother's age. The highest number, which is 24 respondents, or in other words, 80% of the respondents have the age range between 30 years old and less. It means that most of the respondents are between 30 years old and below. In contrast, only 1 respondent, which occupied 3% of the respondents, is more than 40 years old.
Hello, Doctor. I am Tong Soke. Let us continue look at education level of respondent. The chart above shows that the highest number of the respondent, 23 respondent, which is 76.67%, have the correct or diploma education level. There are 7 respondent, which is 23.33%, are secondary. Next, we look at the household annual income of the respondent. The chart shows that the number of respondents which their household annual income is less than 25,000 ringgit Malaysia and 25,000 ringgit Malaysia to 50,000 ringgit Malaysia are the same, which is 14 respondents respectively and also 46.67% of 30 respondents respectively. While the rest, which is 2 respondents or 6.66%, is the respondents that have the annual income more than 50,000 ringgit Malaysia.
Hi, my name is T Singting. Now I am going to continue present about the statistic on the gender of baby. This table and diagram shows that the number of baby boy and baby girl are the same, which occupy 15 for each. Next, let us look into the marital status of the respondent. This table and this diagram shows the frequency of the marital status of the respondent. Based on total 30 respondents, there are 21 respondents who are single and 9 respondents who are married. The respondents who are single occupy 70% of overall, while the respondents who are married occupy 30% of overall.
Hi everyone, I am Sitting. I will continue for the last background of respondent, which is the employed status. Based on the table that we calculated, most of the respondents is not employed, which is 16 of them, and also 53.33% of 30 respondents. While for the category of working full-time and part-time stand the same amounts, which is 7 pupils, and also 33.33% out of 100%. The beside graph also shows the employed status of respondent by using bar charts.
Now, let us look into the normal probability plot of baby age. Based on this graph, it clearly shows that the normal probability plot of baby age is not a straight line. It shows the distribution is skewed to the right. Thus, we can know that the normal probability plot of baby age is right skewed. Therefore, it can be concluded that the data of baby age in this case is not normal.
Next, we use a test to examine if the mean age of baby is the same across different genders. Since the normality probability plot of baby age shows it is not normal, we need to use non-parametric test to test the relationship between baby age and genders. In this test, we use man-Whitney test to examine if the mean age of baby is the same across different genders. First, we use the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is there is no difference between the age of baby across different genders, while the alternative hypothesis is there is a difference between the age of baby across different genders. Next, we will assign the rank according to the combination of baby age and genders. After assigning the rank, we will get the total rank sum for baby boy is 270.5 and baby girl is 247.5. Next, we will compute the yield statistic. Above is the yield statistics formula. N1 refers to the first sample size and N2 is the second sample size. Total W1 and W2 is the total rank sum that we calculated just now. After we put in all the data into the formula, we will get 137.5 for baby boy and 97.5 for baby girl. After compute the yield statistic, we will calculate the mean and standard deviation. When we put in all the data into the formula, we will get the mean is 112.5 and the standard deviation is 24.1091. Lastly, we will calculate the Z statistic. Above is the formula. We use the smaller yield statistic to calculate the Z statistic. After we put in the yield statistic, mean, and the standard deviation, we will get the answer for Z statistic is negative 0.6222. The critical Z value is plus minus 1.96, which is we can get it from MB label. The decision rule for main unit test is reject null hypothesis if the Z statistic is greater than critical Z value. As you can see, the Z statistic is negative 0.6222 and the critical Z value is negative 1.96. We can make the decision is to not reject null hypothesis. There is sufficient evidence to conclude that the mean age of baby is the same across different genders at alpha equal to 0.05.
Next, we look at the 4 knot parameter test. In this case study, we have used 4 knot parameter test and 5 percentage level of significance, which are Wilkerson Wilson test, chi-square test, mean value test, and Kuska-Wally test. Firstly, Wilkerson Wilson test is to examine whether baby boy and baby girl have different skin sensitivity. Chi-square test is to examine the relationship between likelihood to budget, brands under KCL, and household annual income. Mean value test is to determine if the diaper size is the same across different gender of baby. Kuska-Wally test is to examine whether three age-range or mother have different overall perception on quality of diapers. Wilkerson Wilson test is used to examine whether baby boy and baby girl have different skin sensitivity. The null hypothesis is median 1 equal to the median 2. The alternative hypothesis is median 1 is not equal to the median 2. We assign rate according to the combination of the sample, which are the skin sensitive depends on the baby boy and baby girl. Now for the baby boy, the sum ring is 249. The sum ring for the baby girl is 216. We also obtain the test statistic T1 is 260, which is the smaller. We use the formula to calculate the mean of T1 is M1 multiplied with the M plus 1 and divided by 2. We put the value into the formula, which is 15 multiplied with the 30 plus 1 and divided by 2. And finally, we will get 232.5. We calculate the standard deviation of T1 is M1 multiplied M2 and multiplied M plus 1 divided by 12 and square root it, and we get the answer is 24.1091. The formula to calculate the Z test statistic is the test statistic T1 minus to the mean of T1 and divided by standard deviation of T1. Use the formula to calculate the Z test statistic, which is 260 minus 232.5 and divided by 24.1091, and the answer is negative 0.6844. The critical Z value is plus minus 1.96 because the level of significance is at 0.05. The decision rule is reject null hypothesis if Z test statistic is larger than critical Z value, otherwise do not reject. Since Z test statistic is negative 0.6844 is larger than the critical Z value is negative 1.96, so do not reject null hypothesis. There is sufficient evidence to conclude that the skin sensitivity of baby boy and baby girl are same at alpha is at 0.05.
For chi-square test, we use it to examine the relationship between likelihood to purchase rent under KCL and household annual income. First, we state out the hypothesis. The null hypothesis is likelihood to purchase rent under KCL and household annual income are independent, while the alternative hypothesis is likelihood to purchase rent under KCL and household annual income are dependent. Next, we will find out the observed value and the expected value. The formula to calculate the expected value is total row multiplied with total column divided by total sample size. For example, the expected value for the category of definitely will purchase rent under KCL and household annual income less than RN 25,000 is total row 16 multiplied with total column 14 divided by total sample size is 30, and we will get 7.4667. Next, we calculate the chi-square statistic. The formula for calculating chi-square statistic is observed value minus expected value, and we square it out divided by expected value. We do it the same calculation for every data, and we sum it out together, we will get 6.4282. Degree of freedom is 8, which is the number of row minus 1 multiplied with number of column minus 1. At 5% level of significance and the degree of freedom is 8, the critical value is 15.45073. The decision rule for chi-square test is reject null hypothesis if the chi-square square is greater than critical value. From the result, the chi-square test is 6.4282 is smaller than critical value, which is 15.5073. So we do not reject null hypothesis. There is insufficient evidence to conclude that likelihood to purchase rent under KCL and household annual income are dependent at 5% level of significance.
Next, we are going to use main unit test to determine if the table size is the same across different gender of baby. First, the null hypothesis stated that the median of girl is equal to median of boy. while the alternative hypothesis stated that median of boy is not equal to median of girl. The table size for each baby boy and baby girl are listed in column 1 and column 3 respectively. Now we need to rank all of the table size for each baby boy and baby girl in an ascending order. At the end, this table shows the start of ranking of baby boy is 222, while the start of ranking of baby girl is 243. Before that, we need to know the decision rule. We will reject null hypothesis if the value of Z steady state is smaller than negative Z critical value, or we will reject it if the value of Z steady state is larger than positive critical Z value. First, we need to compute U steady state before we go further to computing the value of Z steady state. Value of U steady state of baby boy is 123, while the U steady state of baby girl is 102. Besides, the value of mean is 112.5, while the value of standard deviation is 24.11. Now we can start to compute the value of Z steady state. The formula of computing the value of Z steady state is U steady state minus the value of mean divided by standard deviation. In this case, we are going to use the smaller amount of U steady state to compute the value of Z steady state. Thus, we will use the U steady state of baby girl because it gives a smaller amount, which is 102. At the end, we will get the value of Z steady state, which is negative 0.44, and the critical Z value is positive or negative 1.96. Since the Z steady state negative 0.44 is larger than critical Z value negative 1.96, so we do not reject null hypothesis. Thus, there is sufficient evidence to conclude that the table size is the same across different gender of baby at 0.05 level of significance.
The fourth non-parametric test that we used is the Kruskal-Wallis test. This test is used to examine whether three age ranges of mothers have different overall perception of the quality of diapers. The first sample is mothers who are 30 years old and less. The second sample is mothers between 31 to 40 years old. And the third sample is mothers more than 40 years old. The first sample is denoted as 1, second sample is 2, and the third sample is 3. Since there are more than 2 samples, we use Kruskal-Wallis test instead of Mann-Whitney test or Wilkerson-Rankin test. The null hypothesis of the test is median 1 equals median 2 equals median 3. Otherwise, the alternative hypothesis is not all population medians are equal. First of all, we need to build up a table to obtain rankings for each value and sum the rankings for data from each of the 3 groups. Next, computing the hash test statistic by the formula, and we found hash is 2.3468. Next, computing the critical value. Before calculating the critical value, we need to know the degrees of freedom. We can find the degrees of freedom by using C minus 1. So we use 3 minus 1 and we get the degrees of freedom is 2. Next, we can find the critical value by using Excel or chi-square table. Here we use Excel to find the critical value by using equals CHISQ.INV.RT 0.052, and we finally get the critical value as 5.9915. So our decision rule is reject null hypothesis if test statistic hash is larger than the critical value. Otherwise, do not reject the null hypothesis. Since hash is 2.3468 is smaller than the critical value, which is 5.9915, so do not reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, there is insufficient evidence to conclude that each of the 3 age ranges of mother have different overall perception on quality of diapers at 5% level of significance.
Now let us look at the discussion and conclusion. In this case study, we have made some suggestions for KCL to improve its market share and customer satisfaction. Firstly, the average baby age is 15.53 months, thus KCL can produce more diapers for this category of baby since the age of baby is the same across the gender. Besides, the highest number for the respondent age of mother is 13 years old and less, and more of them are single. KCL can assign the price of product and make the price become more affordable to consumer. Since the data of baby age is not normal, thus we use not parameter test, which is mean value test to assign if the mean age of baby is the same across the different gender. We conclude that the mean age of baby is the same across different gender. Thus, KCL no need to produce diapers depends on gender. We subject KCL to produce diapers by classify the age range of every baby no matter which gender they are, such as 0 to 1 month, 2 to 4 months, 5 to 7 months, and so on.
From the Wilkerson-Rankin test results, we found the skin sensitivity of baby boy and baby girl are the same at 5% level of significance. Thus, KCL could use the same materials to produce diapers for babies without differentiating genders. Besides, we also suggest KCL could use more skin-friendly and eco-friendly materials to produce diapers. Next, from the result of the chi-square test for independence, it shows likelihood of purchase brands under KCL and household annual income of respondents is independent. This is because diaper can be considered as one of the important goods to babies. Thus, no matter household annual income is low or high, consumers are still likely to purchase diapers for the use for baby. So we suggest KCL to reduce the price of products to attract more customers and can be more competitive compared to other brands.
Based on the result of Mann-Whitney test, it shows that the diaper size is same across different gender of baby at 0.05 level of significance. Thus, KCL can produce diaper in different sizes, such as S, M, L, and SL size according to baby physical growth, since their size is same across different genders. Besides, based on the result of Kruskal-Wallis test, it shows that the 3 age range of mother have the same overall perception on quality of diaper at 0.05 level of significance. The average of overall perception on quality among 3 age range of mother is 8, which is the high perception on the quality. Thus, KCL should continue to ensure the diapers always quality and observing competitors so that it can help to maintain the image of the company.
In conclusion, the goal of this research is to identify the market segment and the demographic of customer of KCL management. Throughout the analysis that we have done, we could suggest KCL to choose the best suitable material in producing diapers and design a few standard-sized diapers. This is because the consumer have high precision on the quality of diapers and baby have the same skin sensitivity level. Moreover, baby size will change according to their physical growth. Throughout the analysis that we have done, the likely purchasing of diapers does not depend on household annual income. However, KCL should put a reasonable price so that the consumer will be satisfied with the price and will continue purchase the brand under KCL management. In the long term, this can build the integrity to them.